Hello and welcome to our how-to video on the Project Financial series in Mission Control. Mission Control offers several ways to capture your financials using different rates, and these include the standard, the role-based, skill-based, and rate card options. In this video, we'll be exploring how the role-based rates are set up and how the financials are derived from it. So the role-based option allows you to specify an hourly rate for each individual role on their role record. If a role uses the role-based option, it will utilize the role rates that are set up on the role record. The role rates account for the action owner from the action, the contributor on the action, as well as project member from the time logs. These rates are used to determine the billable or cost value fields in your project, and you are able to specify whether the billable or the cost or both use the role-based option. So you can choose to mix and match and do that. So you could have a project where the billable values are calculated using the standard rate, while the cost values are calculated using the role-based. So your clients are being charged at one static rate, whereas the cost values, how much it costs you to utilize your resources, is being determined based on the rates that are set up on the role record. We will also take a look at how you can override the default rates for certain time periods, and there are two different ways that you can apply this. So you can create a rate adjustment from the role record so that you're able to override the rates for a specified time period. And this is useful when you're tracking when a role's rates have changed for any number of reasons. There's for example, a promotion has occurred, or you're increasing your rates for everybody, that you're going to be charging new rates to your clients. So whatever the reason is, you're able to make those changes from there. And this would apply if you're making these rate adjustments from the role record. It would apply to all projects as long as the project is within the time frame of the rate adjustment that's been set up. Another use case is when a role must be charged at a different rate or different rates at different time periods on a specific project. So this is creating rate adjustments from the project, or what we call the role-based override. We'll also look at in what scenarios you may need to use the forced financials recalculation, as that helps you make sure any new rates or changes that you applied are taken into account every time your information is updated in the project. And lastly, we'll also be reviewing how the priority of rates are applied when using the role-based option. So the highest priority is given to the role-based override, which is creating rate adjustments from the project. And this rate adjustment only applies to that one project. And so any rates that you specify there, that's what it chooses first. If it doesn't find any rate adjustments from the project, then the next priority is to look at the rate adjustments from the role record. So this is where you create rate adjustments on the role record, and this rate adjustment will apply to all projects as long as the project is within the applicable time frame. If that's also not specified or not found by the system, then the next step is to look for rates that are specified on the role record. So this is our hourly rates that you specify on the role record when you're setting them up. If the hourly rates on the role are not specified, then the last priority or the next step is to look for rates that are specified on the project. So the billable day rate and the cost day rate that is set up as part of the standard billing and cost rates. That's what's going to be used as a loss measure. All right, so let's jump into the demo and have a look at all of this in action. All right, so I've got my project set up to use the role-based option. Let's go through what's required to set that up, at least on the project side of things, and then we'll go to the role. So go by editing the project, scroll down, and you'll find two fields called billing rate and cost rate. So I've got those over here, and both of those are set to role-based, but you can choose to change that. So maybe you want to use a standard as a billing rate and cost as a role-based. And the use case over here is that you're charging the client one single rate, regardless of who's working on the project. But you'd still like to track how much it costs you to utilize those resources based on the rates that are set up for them. You'll also see that I've got the billable day rate and cost day rate values populated, and that's because I want that to be the fallback. So if none of the rates are found, then it's going to use the rates that are specified here. Let's check what role-based for now, and we'll leave those as is and cancel out here. So that's the project side. You'll also want to make sure the rates are set up on the role record. So I've got my role here. I've got 275 as the billable and cost hourly rates. And I've got Arthur's role here, whose billable hourly rate is 250 and cost hourly rate is 125. Let's go back here and have a look at the action that we've got. So the action over here, Arthur's the action owner. The action dates are in June of 2024. The hour scheduled billable is 2 hours, and the hour scheduled non-billable is 0. And it's calculating some figures for us in the value fields over here. You'll see that I don't have any contributors over here. Since there are no contributors, Arthur's the action owner, Arthur's rates will be used. So let's have a look at Arthur's rates one more time. So that's 250 for the billable hourly rate and 125 for the cost hourly rate. So because there are 2 hours scheduled billable, our scheduled value billable would be 250 times 2, and that's returning 500. There are no hours scheduled on billable, and so the total hours scheduled is 2, just from the hours scheduled billable, and 2 times 125, that's returning 250. So that's the rates that it's using from the role record. We'll go ahead and add myself as a contributor, and we'll see how it automatically pulls in the rates from the contributors. So we'll do 1 hour each for each person in here, and save that. I'm not using the role allocation settings. So if I just go ahead and refresh my page, I should see those update instantly. And these are updating instantly because I'm not using the role allocation automation settings. And what that does is generates the role allocation records for you that go under the action. And each role allocation record is totaled up to calculate the hour scheduled value, billable hour scheduled value cost, and that rolls up to the action level over here. Because that process is based on a batch, whatever frequency that you've set, 1, 5, 10, or 15 minutes, it will take that amount of time for it to update those records, and then you'll see the figures update. So if that setting is enabled, you'll depending on your frequency, you'll see those updates at that time. If that feature is disabled, then you won't. You'll see these changes update instantly. So now it's using both of our rates. So we'll go back to rates again. So I've got a hourly rate of 275, and Arthur has a billable hourly rate of 250 and 125. So 200 times 1 hour plus 250 times 1 hour, that's returning 450. And 125 times 1 hour plus 75 times 1 hour, that's returning 200 for us over there. All right, so that's the very basic setup. So rates from the role record are being used. Now, let's say there has been a change in your rates. Doing so on the role record by updating the 275 here, this would apply indefinitely, and we don't want to update. We don't want to cause any historical data to be updated. We only want this rate that we're applying. This should only be applied moving forward, or maybe it should be applied for a specific time period, and that's where rate adjustments come in. And so rate adjustments can be created in different pages. So there's the rate adjustment from within the project, where the rates would apply only to the specific project for the time frame that you've specified. Or you can create rate adjustments from the role record. So when you're creating rate adjustments from the role record, it applies to all projects as long as the project is within that applicable time frame. So we'll have a look at the rate adjustments from the role record first, as that will also demonstrate the priority of rates, because the priority of rate goes as the rate adjustments from the project are given high priority first, then the rate adjustments from the role record are given priority, then the rates on the role record are given priority, and if none of those are found, then we'll use the billable day rate and cost day rate values that we have specified on the project here. So let's start by creating the role. So we've already covered off this priority. Let's cover off the rate adjustment from the role record priority, and this can be done by using the Manage Rates button. So under the drop down here, I've got a button called Manage Rates on the role record. So when I click into it, it'll bring me to this this window here that I can use to update the rates. So I've got the option. I've got myself there. I've got 2 different tabs in there. So I've got the role-based and skill-based. We'll be covering skill-based in a separate video. So I've got myself in here. I've got the billable hourly rate and cost hourly rate. So updating the rates over here, this will update the rates on the role record itself. So if you are wanting to apply it indefinitely, then you can do that. So it's the same as editing the role record and making those updates there. But if you want to apply it for a specific time frame or like moving forward only, then that's when you want to use the this drop down here where you can specify dates. So with dates, you can specify a start date and leave the end date blank. So that's any projects that should be using this rate adjustment moving forward from that time onwards. And the second option is to use the start date and the end date. So for now, we'll stick with using the start date only. So we'll do start this year So let's say there was a rate increase for everyone within the system, and for this year, we're going to be charging clients at a different rate, and that has also increased our cost charge rate as well. So we'll go ahead and say for Omer, the rates are 250 and 100. So we'll add that in. So any project that is that has either time logs after 1st Jan or that has the actions after 1st Jan, it will use this rate over there. So you can choose to delete that, or you can add more rates in. So maybe for next year, you want to put new rates in. So from 1st Jan of 2025, you want to say 275 and 125. So that's how you can add multiple rates in there. So let's go ahead and remove that for now. We'll just stick with the one rate adjustment, and we'll go ahead and save that. We'll do the same for Arthur as well. Go into the drop down there, go into manage rates. All right, so I'll go ahead and add 1st Jan there. And then the billable hourly rate over here will be 300, and the cost hourly rate will be 150. Go ahead and save that. Now, because I've made some rate changes here, so rate changes like creating rate adjustments, editing them, deleting them, those require a financials recalculation. So if I were to refresh my page here, that won't update any of those rates, and that's because I've made some rate changes in there. So that's one change when you want to do the forced financials recalculation. The other change is when you've got actions in your project and you've made changes to the billing rate and cost rate. So I've got a action here. If I were to change the billing rate over there, I would still need to do a forced financials because the action is existing within the system. If it wasn't, then it would have automatically accounted for the new rates once that new action would be created. Let's stick with role-based for now, and I've got a field here called the forced financials recalculation. I've just updated my page layout, so you might see it in a different place. So let's go ahead and save that. So this will kick off a process in the background that will automatically account for the new rates that we've created and apply that to your project. So this setting is a per project setting, so you have to update other projects that are the same way. And it is possible for you to do multiple projects at once, so you can do like a mass update from list view. So we'll update that. We'll edit the project here. We'll see that field has been unchecked. That means the process has run successfully, and we can now verify the rates, the value fields over here. So the rates that we had set up for Arthur were 300 and 150. So 300 times 1 hour plus 250 for Omer's rates on my rates. So that's 300 times 1, 250 times 1. So that's 550. And the cost rates that we set up for Arthur were 150, and for Omer it was 100. So that returns 100 times 1 plus 150 times 1. That's 250. So that's how those figures are being calculated over there. All right, so before we move to the next priority of rates, which is rate adjustments from the project, we'll just go back to the project here. You'll notice that the rate adjustment records get created here as you'll see them in the related list. So there we go. So under the rate adjustment related list, you've got the rate adjustment there. It says rate type is role-based and specifying the start date. There was no end date and the rates over there. So the project is blank and skill is also blank. And that's because we haven't specified that. That's automatically updated depending on the context that you're updating it. Let's go back to the project and we'll go to the next priority, which is the rate adjustments from the project. And this is the one that gets the highest priority. So regardless of any other values, this is the one that's given the highest priority. And if it's not found, then it moves to the next priority. So the way you can create rate adjustments from the project is by using the manage rates button here. So let's go ahead and click into that. All right, so I've got the manage rates page in here. I am on the role-based override tab, and override is a keyword that differentiates it from being a rate adjustment on the project or a rate adjustment from the role record. So I've got roles in here. So these are the people that are involved within the project, either in the capacity of an action owner, a contributor, or a project member on the time log. And it's pulling in their default rates from the role record, not from the rate adjustments that we created. So these might be different from what we created on the rate adjustments. And I can choose to create a rate adjustments. So if I enter a value in here, it will generate a rate adjustment for me for this person. And the start and end date will be blank because it would apply indefinitely throughout this project's timeline. What I can also choose to do is expand this section here, and I can choose to specify start and end dates. So let's go ahead and do that for Arthur here. So we'll set a start date to the start of the year. So we'll put in two rate adjustments. So we're charging the client at a lower rate, and we'll put 265 there, and we'll put in another rate adjustment for 1st July and ending on December 31st, and we'll put that rate to be 285. Now, I haven't specified the cost hourly rate because I would like for the system to use the cost hourly rate specified either on the rule record or whatever the updated rates are based on the rate adjustment from the rule record. In this case, we created a rate adjustment for Arthur from the rule record that applies from Jan 2024 onwards. And the cost hourly rate there was 150. And in this case, it would use this, I would like for that rate to be used, and that's why I've left it blank. So we'll go ahead and save that. So we'll create 4 rate adjustments. So we'll have a look at the rate adjustments here. So it's generated some rate adjustments for us here, but the key ones to take note of are the 2 over here. So 1st Jan 2024 ends on 30th June 2024, has a billable hourly rate of 265 and no cost hourly rate, and that applies to Arthur. And the second rate is from 1st July 2024 and ends on 31st December 2024, and the rate for that time period is 285 with no cost hourly rate. And if I just jump into this rate adjustment here, we'll see that the project has been updated over there as well. So, and these two are generated based on the indefinite rates that we've specified. So if we choose to specify a rate that applies indefinitely, it's going to update the rates over there accordingly. So let's go back here. Because I've made some changes on the rates to the rate adjustments, I'll need to do a financials recalculation. So I can go ahead and do that. And we'll go ahead and refresh our page. And that has updated the figures for us. What I'll now do is I'll create a new action, and we'll see how that works. So new action. So we'll put Arthur as the action owner, and we'll put the start date to be in the second half, or the second that applies from the second rate adjustment. So we'll put that in October and 16th, and we'll put 2 hours in there. Save that. Go back to the project. And we've got the action owner in there. So we'll just remove that for easier demonstration and just refresh our page now. So now we'll go through the actions again, make sure everything's set up right. So I've got the Arthur is the action owner for both actions. One action's in June, so the first rate adjustment applies, and the second action's in October, so the second rate adjustment applies. Both actions have 2 hours each. There are no are scheduled non-billable, and there are no contributors. So now it's just going to use the rates that we've set up for Arthur here. So the rates for Arthur for the first half of the year are 265. So 265 times 2, that's returning 530 as the R scheduled value billable. And the R scheduled value cost is 300, and that's based on the cost hourly rate not being populated. So then it goes to the next priority, which is the rate adjustment that we specified on Arthur's rules. If I go into manage rates, I have one rate adjustment here that applies from 1st Jan 2024 onwards, and that's 150. So that's where the our scheduled value cost is being calculated from. So 150 times 2, that returns 300. And similarly, for the second half of the year, the rate adjustment is 285. So 285 times 2, that's returning 570. And then the R scheduled value cost is, again, 150 times 2, which is returning 300. So that's how you can set up rates within the system, and hopefully that provides you with a lot of flexibility in being able to set up rates in different scenarios and different situations. All right, so that ends the how-to video on the role-based options for the financials in mission control. If you have any questions, you can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to help. and we'll see you in the next one.